So for people who watch my YouTube channel, they might have noticed recent videos depicting what appears to be like World of Warcraft maps in War Smash, more so than before. Now with actual like terrain of the world, as well as maybe some doodads. Obviously, you can see that trees in the sky. That's sort of interesting. You know, somebody says STV in War Smash. Does that still a Warcraft mod? The water is broken. That's why the fish is flying. Which song is that? This is like some Suno AI joke song about how I'm a genius and how I made a better song than somebody else. Here you go. The only thing better than Skyfish is seeing Skyfish. So we had that. Okay, and then we have this new video here. Now, I'm going to be honest. I've watched this video about 16 times this week. I just keep watching it over and over. And that's sort of interesting. It's actually, it kind of tells me something, that this video is a pretty good advertisement for a technology that maybe I actually wish that I had. Sometimes you don't really know that you wish that you had something until you see it and you think, you know, yeah, actually I do think I wish I had this technology. We should do this. It's entertaining. People don't really understand why, but I think it's entertaining. And yeah, so this is a good idea. We should have this technology. Now, but the obvious problem in trying to advertise something like this, and actually there was a really good YouTube comment that said this really well, and it seems to have disappeared. I don't really know how they do comments on YouTube or why it's like this. I don't know. We could try to figure it out. But basically, I don't know if the guy deleted his comments or what. You know, what community. Is there one of these where somebody said something about this? Yeah, I actually don't see the comment I'm remembering. But that aside, this person basically said, you know, don't become Brad Chan of Activision by making a video about something that you're not really going to publish for people to play, that doesn't really exist. That seems like sort of fake and misleading. And then maybe he deleted the comment because he decided that this is a video of a real technology. I don't know that. But the interesting thing, if we actually think about this video, is that there is actually a pretty substantial case to be made that he's right. And the biggest reason for that is that although this video appears to be just, you know, sort of teleporting around Eastern Kingdoms and having a look at different components of the map in this sort of Warcraft 3-ish technology base, what this overlooks drastically is that these videos are not taken by getting on a car mount and driving around Eastern Kingdoms and taking pictures or something. You know, these videos were actually made by turning off the game and starting it up again with different little subsections of the maps loaded different times. And each time that I would kill the game and start it up again to record another segment of video, I would go in and change the fog parameters and the sky parameters and other things. And then essentially I had this piece of code. The actual Warcraft 3 emulator can only handle up to a certain size of map because it's mimicking Warcraft 3 pathfinding badly, I might add. So that it actually is even more restricted than the original Warcraft 3 game because it's sort of this open source you know, re-implementation of a similar idea. So as the map gets larger and larger, the code goes to absolute crap. And what that means is I was able to set my Java virtual machine to about 26 gigabytes of RAM supported, and I actually still run out of RAM and I'm unable to launch the program if I actually try to load the entire map of the Eastern Kingdoms. At the moment, the only thing that worked was designating very tiny pieces, that's about 1/4000th of the entire map, and then loading that 1/4000th at a time, running around on that in a little video, killing the game, and then loading it back up in some other location. And, by the way, I had to play World of Warcraft GeoGuessr to figure out what the locations are, because the mechanism that I had for picking which location we load is not X and Y, and instead is indexed in some giant array of associated chunks. So I'm playing this GeoGuessr, and I'm like finding like, okay, this one's Elwyn. I'm gonna write that down. You know, Elwyn is 511 in the index, and this is Ironforge. This is 381 index, and I'm like teleporting around these random places. Sometimes, like this place in Duskwood, I think I forgot to write down what numeric index that was, so I don't even know how to get back. So it's loading, kind of. Right, but it's failing to load the entire map because the fundamentals that I'm sort of just going in there, you know, hack, doop, 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 get the fundamentals to kind of interpret this in a Warcraft 3 way are not actually interpreting the entire map. And when I tried to tell them to do that, it failed horribly in you know, step after step. Warcraft 3 pathfinding, too many cells allocated. You know, Warcraft 3 just basic, not even pathfinding, but just what they call the pathing, just like collision of buildings and trees, you know, too many cells allocated. Things like, you know, what is the fly height of a flying unit? It goes up and down on mountains. Well, how does that work? It works by looking at the index in the terrain or something, right? And okay, now that's not working because there's too many indices, right? And okay, when I right-click with a peasant and I tell him to build some building on the ground, how does it figure out where to put that building? You know, I'm loading into the Warcraft 3 system. Well, we got too many indices. So I can go over here and I can make a joke and I can put this car, but this car is not a World of Warcraft mount. I don't have mount code. I just opened the unit editor and I changed the unit editor model for the unit type in the Warcraft 3 definition of my character. And so now whenever I play the game, it's always the car. It's never Shelly, and I didn't save the Shelly unit definition of Shelly the Elf. I need to go back and get that back. Although it was literally just, I took Sylvanas Windrunner and changed the model, so admittedly that's probably pretty easy to bring that back. So this is why, if you actually look at this video carefully, you'll see that right here at the end of the world that Shelly is running to is the black mask on the end of the Warcraft 3 map, and then it just cuts off. And so that is the end of the interpreted zone. And to go past that zone, you have to kill the program and reload it again, and then it reloads the entire world to spawn in that section of map interpreted as a Warcraft 3 map. So, although this is very fun to look at, I look at this and think, wow, you know what? Maybe I would like to drive a car around the Eastern Kingdoms. It really is an advertisement for something that's not there yet. You know, I don't even have, like, push the 1 key to get in and out of the car, which I kind of feel like that would be really nice to have, but, you know, that's icing on the cake for once your engine is capable of loading the entire map. So I think that's the next thing, you know, that's really the next step here. When we talk about getting Gordo6908 to the Eastern Kingdoms, we gotta do that for real. You know, we talk about it. I don't just want to talk about it and then walk away from it. I enjoy when I come up with something, even if it's dumb, I try to finish that thing. I think that's a cool way to do it. You know, not all at once. I don't have an exact deadline, but I think it's fun when you start on something to try to finish that thing. That being said, you know, we live in a really interesting world. I've been gaining some weight. Everybody has to remember to go outside and stay healthy. If you don't stay healthy, you're not going to be able to make it to the Eastern Kingdoms in the long term, right? You gotta, you know, life is a journey. You gotta enjoy that journey. Stay healthy and well. I could do more of that. That would be good. But anyway, I think it would be cool to get Gordo6908 to the Eastern Kingdoms. And this is it's a trailer, it's an advertisement for what that might look like. But it's not the real thing. And it's not the technology of the real thing. You know, for what it's worth, I don't know how many people picked up on this, but there's also a tremendous issue of scaling size of geometric models in this video. One of the most egregious, obvious ones is this flagpole over here. The flags on the flagpole are completely the wrong size. I eventually figured out after I recorded this video that the reason everything is the wrong size, and that, you know, even if you're like running around outside Ironforge or something, there will be like weird little mini trees that don't make sense, or like giant trees that are just unrealistically bigger than any tree should be. The reason for that, and this we get back to, the most important thing in this video. Anybody can play World of Warcraft, but what I'm doing is trying to have a technological understanding that we can sort of open source run around on this map on my Linux computer. So obviously the understanding is actually probably more important than the entertainment value. So what I found out, and the reason that in some places we have bizarre tiny trees and other things. Oh, there it was. You guys see that? There's the tiny tree. That doesn't make any sense. Like, why? I mean, I guess actually that kind of does, maybe some tree, but I don't think the artists did it that way. I'm doubtful that they did. So what it turns out, and what that really is in my code, I accidentally put the scale data for the size of the object both in the Warcraft 3 object definition and also in the World of Warcraft object creator thing. So we're scaling it as a Warcraft 3 thing of like all doodads are this scale of that kind or something, and then actually it's not all of that kind. I think it's just a single instance. But anyway, there's like a Warcraft function that was doing the scale, and then there's this WoW function that was like scaling it again. So if it was big, it got more big, and if it was small, it got more small. It made everything crazy and busted. And that's the reason for the sky fish. And I just didn't know that at the time. It's easy to keep busy. So I solved that. World is a little bit closer now. So the point I'm trying to make, if we open up the code, is that if I actually launch the game, I've fixed the artwork a little bit, but I haven't fixed the problem of scale. So the next step in getting Gordo6908 to Eastern Kingdoms is going to be to really, what did I say? I fixed the scale, but I didn't fix the problem of world map size, right? So we got to fix the problem of world map size, and then we'll be pretty much where we want to be. I think we're getting really close. So that's kind of interesting. We have to do world map size. Obviously, now I'm always in a car. There's some problem where the car can drive up the hill backwards sometimes, but not forwards all the time, and I don't quite know why that is. Why can't I just go forwards up the hill? Seems wrong. But obviously, you can kind of ride the car down the hill over here, and you can look around. And so I've fixed some of it. I've fixed some of it. Jumping in this car doesn't have a jump animation, and so it continues to leave stuff behind, like the I want to call them footprints, but obviously for a car it's like car tracks. So we're leaving behind car tracks when we jump around. That would be something you could fix if you cared about the car. If our primary goal is just constructing a map interpreter for Gordo6908, then maybe we don't care about that. Apparently this tiny tree actually is a tiny tree, but I have to say it looks a little bit better when it's not smashed into the tree behind it and the scales are correct. So as you can see, the Warcraft 3 map ends right here. And in the real world, you'd want to be able to drive your car to Keranos and then like drive your car to Loch Modan over here, and it's kind of like, why can't we do that? And I do think that once we get Gordo6908 to Eastern Kingdoms, so that he can be running, whatever this is, this War Smash thingamabling on Eastern Kingdoms, with doing that, we want to have this map loader, but I don't think it's reasonable to expect somebody like Gordo6908 to have to do what I'm doing in these videos for the software side to actually develop this. So somebody could make a much simpler video getting Gordo6908 to Eastern Kingdoms that literally just shows how to do it with the existing code once I publish the code I'm making in this video series. So I do think it's also worth noting, hopefully if somebody's taking my idea, it's not going to be like some really long thing. So anyway, that seemed pretty fun. Publish some code. You can see how it's kind of fun driving this car around, but yeah, we want to be able to drive a little car around the whole entire map, so we need some code edits. Also, I don't run into this thing, I just drive right through it. Now, you might have noticed, if you've seen other clips of similar technology, there is actually the technology in this program that's supposed to be able to let me run into that, but it doesn't currently work because it breaks. And you could think about, why does that break? Because that's probably another thing. So we've kind of got like a couple of tasks. One of the tasks is expand the way that we load maps so we can load the entire map. Another task is fixing things like that tree so that we actually run into them and they're solid objects. And then a third task I didn't mention just there, but I think you might have noticed, and maybe if I run that video again, it would be pretty obvious, is that the downside of this sort of Ironforge map is that the actual opening to Ironforge isn't there. So that is a file called WMOs. It's another type of object in the map. We probably would need to add support for those, and that would be another very involved technical effort, but once it's created and published online, then hypothetically folks could just use it, you know, and I'm sure other systems and, you know, similar things probably already have that, but obviously mine doesn't right now. Yeah, so you see that there's not, notably in you know, the actual version of this right here should be an opening. So there should be both a terrain opening and then also a geometric model inserted that you can actually enter inside of. We don't have that right now. I didn't do that. I don't have WMOs, but we should add WMOs. That would be really nice. And WMOs, you know, that might take hours, days, whatever it takes to build a parser for a new geometric format. Whereas colliding with trees might be really easy. You know, that might be as simple as we just go in here, was it like create doodad. I actually had some code that was supposed to do that, that said for every component of the doodad, figure out its location and then put it into whatever this thing here is. But I think these have this problem that in some cases, if it's one of those flying ones that's outside the map, this doesn't work and it actually crashes because the way this thing was built, it expects everything to be inside the map. So I wonder if I have like entire map rect or something. Oh yeah, here we go. Get playable map area or something like that. So I wonder if we could say get entire map and then basically check if that intersects, and maybe that would fix it. You know, things like that are usually quite simple logically. You say, okay, get entire map, and then we say like, all right, so we know we've got this bounds, and then if intersect, or what is this, overlaps entire map, then we add it. I don't know. That might have fixed this problem I had earlier, the reason that was turned off. If it does, we might be able to just drive around, run into the tree with the car, and the tree would be a physical object. I mean, that would be kind of fun. You know. It would be cool. There's also the issue of loading time. Obviously, you know, partly we're loading most of the map and then throwing it away and just loading this tiny segment, so that's probably another thing you would want to work on. But yeah, right now we're just going to ignore that. Okay, so I drive my car down here. Let's see if I bump into the tree. I guess it probably worked. Yeah, look at that, I bumped into the tree. So actually, it might be pretty straightforward to solve the problem of physical objects. I wonder if that means I can like run in this one too. Oh yeah, all right. So physical objects are solved, except we want to load WMO objects, which obviously is going to be an involved effort. The car's tilt is kind of messed up, but we'll just ignore that for now. Let me see. Yeah, there you go. Run into this thing. That's pretty cool. We can still jump over it though. Nice. So I think we're almost there. You know, we're progressing very well. And missing part of this is the idea that the map is cut off. And I've had some ideas how we might want to do that, but oh, that's interesting. I kind of went like through it there. So, you know, if you jump off the map in some directions, you just kind of fall forever. I think it depends if it's like ends up being like a positive or negative direction. And in some ways, some circumstances, the actual game will crash. But apparently here, you just kind of fall off. Yeah, you can see actually my hero is like off the side of, you know, if this is like the Warcraft 3 map. I wonder if I have map bounds. Oh yeah, I don't have map bounds. So you can go out here versus up here. So definitely one problem that this has is we're still so Warcraft 3istic that, you know, the Warcraft 3 stuff works. So like you can drag box these peasants. Yes, and the drag box is like intersecting the mouse against the terrain and stuff. Now, I didn't do a whole lot with Warcraft 3 collision, so obviously...
Yes, me lord. Off I go then.
What is that intersecting?
Yes, me lord.
Is it intersecting a tree?
Righto. Righto.
It's like the
my lord.
birds. The
Righto.
birds are physical objects you can stand on.
What is it?
So the actual Warcraft 3
Righto.
game,
What is
the way it handles these types of physical objects
Off I go then.
is that...
Off I go then.
Oh, that's interesting.
Righto.
They load it in some WoW specific way.
Yes,
I didn't think
my
about
lord.
that.
Off I go
Well, you can
then.
see my right-click
Yes, my
mouse
lord.
is actually loading as if the
Righto.
units would stand on top of the
Off I go
object.
then.
But
Off I go then. Righto.
a lot of the time
Off I
here,
go then.
the units are
Off I go
not...
then.
Yeah, I seem to be
Alright.
clicking what probably amounts
Off I
to
go
something to
then.
do with the birds in the sky or something,
All right.
which is very
Righto.
interesting.
Righto. Off I go
I'm
then.
not quite sure why that works that way. But you could imagine this would be something to iterate on, perhaps, and try to improve. Might also want to get like the mini-map loading. Obviously, right now it's not. Yeah, that seems to be that we're intersecting
All right.
strange
Off I
objects
go
in the
then.
sky quite a bit
All
here.
right.
I'm not quite sure why.
Off I go then. Yes, me lord. All right. All right.
Yeah, strange objects in the sky. But that being the case, you can see that we're very almost there. I was
Yes,
successful
Lord.
in getting the terrain to
All right.
load, but
Yes,
there's just
Lord.
kind of these problems of other related things. I don't know how I get back up there. I don't think you probably just restart at this point. I don't think this menu exits. So that's kind of interesting, but it does seem like we need to do a substantial technical effort rework on the maps so that we can load indefinitely large maps. And we want to have WMO files. And I think if I had those two things, it would be really, really cool. You know, that would almost be the point where we could say, hey, Gordo6908, we got you a map. And then I was thinking after that, what would be really fun would be if I made, you know, like an interconnected ocean. So if like all of this is one big ocean and I can just sail from here to here in the same actual game session without reloading, I feel like that would be really fun. And I might try to do that, but partly my thought there is that if I get to the point that, you know, right now we're able to load about, let's see if we can get in here. We're able to load about, you know, something like that, right? So we're loading like that much as a Warcraft 3 map. Now, if we can change that so that without using more RAM or something, we load this entire map, I think at that point we will have sufficiently magical powers that we could just load both of these maps simultaneously in the same geometric space and then travel from one to the other. I'm thinking, why not? And, you know, we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but that was sort of my thought process. And I think it would be kind of cool to succeed on that. Because the other thing is, if I have that much geometry available, I could put some Warcraft 3 maps, maybe have some uncharted islands in here that I bump into along the way as I'm sailing. I feel like that would be pretty fun. And it could have like an adventure video, like sailing across the ocean. There would probably be some Naga oil rigs in here. I know I made a joke about Naga oil rigs on one of my previous videos. So we would probably encounter a Naga oil rig somewhere out in the ocean. Now I know most people are probably thinking Pandaria is supposed to be here and this big, and whatever other thing they added is supposed to be that big. And I think they added one like up here, and I was looking at the map of the recent World of Warcraft on the internet recently or something. You know, you could do that, but I don't know. I didn't really feel like doing that. So I would probably just put some little islands in here. I thought that would be fun. But I might draw them with Warcraft 3 Map Editor, which means that we'll want to be able to load both kinds of terrain in the same universe. I don't know how I'm going to do that right now. I didn't think that through very hard, but it's a fun brainstorm. So I feel like we know the problem statement. You know, there's two issues, and one is the problem of scale and creating a more robust system on a fundamental level, and the other is WMO files. I sort of take for granted that if I go on the internet and I Google WMO files and I spend like 6 hours looking at how they're made, I'm extremely confident that I would succeed in parsing them. And one of the reasons for that is if you look at World of War Smash First Dungeon, I don't know if anybody actually looked this up, but oh, actually, I guess the video about First Dungeon was this silly thing. So, I mean, I don't know if people followed this, but like there is a fundamental difference between, in this clip here, I used Warcraft 3 Map Editor and drew a little world and ran around in it. including this like weird jungle gym geometry that I was jumping on. And so this is a phenomenally different technology than actually trying to load World of Warcraft maps, because with this, it's literally Warcraft modding. Like, I'm pretty sure I have a second video of that where I literally am at the same place in Warcraft Reforged, and it's like the Warcraft Reforged engine and not my code, because this map is so extremely Warcraft 3. Now, contrary to that, when you have something like what I was doing more recently in this, sort of this week video, and you look at something like this, this is not something I'm going to open in Warcraft 3 map editor. That's not really going to work. I'm not even generating the file that would be used to do that. I'm just interpreting in RAM and constructing a render environment that's rendering this kind of hybrid. So knowing that, and that'll never go back to Warcraft 3, I feel like that's interesting to kind of have this distinction between things I was doing 2 years ago and now. However, the things I was doing 2 years ago did include this video. And this piece of technology here was, somebody sent me this file in the comments. I don't even remember who it was. The user Kaiser on Discord sent me this file to test on World of Warsmash. And so notably, he sent me the file in a format that had already been converted to Warcraft 3. So I'm running around on this thing. Maybe we'll get like to where it was like daytime lighting environment or something, if that's even any different. But I find myself running around in essentially a dungeon from World of Warcraft, and I don't even remember what dungeon this is because it's probably from after I stopped playing the game. But I was able to do that with this art file the guy sent me. So one idea would be, if you were extremely bored and had nothing else to do, we could just ping that guy and say, how did you do this conversion to Warcraft 3? And he would probably tell me, and then we could just use whatever that is on all of the WMO files, because fundamentally, it's shown to work, right? I can run around on this. Now, to anybody from, I don't know, like Activision or something, who thinks this is some kind of lie, he's hacking us, this would not ever work on Warcraft 3 to do this. They're right about that. When I first opened this thing up and tried to run around on it in my Warcraft 3 simulator, it lagged horribly. It is actually the case that the ray intersect that this thing uses is bad, because I think probably the original way that I did that, and I wouldn't be surprised if the original way Warcraft 3 does that, although I don't know, it might have just been my code. But anyway, somehow I was essentially intersecting where the character is to figure out, their height and if they run into something when they fall, against the entire geometry of the entire object. And this whole little world here was treated as one Warcraft 3 object, one MDX file. And what that meant is that it lagged horribly, it didn't work. So I had to introduce a mapping that when we actually look for a character to fall onto an object and we look where that object is, I do like some quad tree thing in spatial separating to identify only the subchunks of the object in some defined way, and we're only evaluating the guy against that chunk. So the mathematics are much simpler and the lag is substantially reduced. It's still on a really expensive PC that it was, extremely overboard for what anyone should ever need to play World of Warcraft. It did still lag actually in this video, and I think we might see some of it later on, in particular because my spatial partitioning was two-dimensional and not three-dimensional, and so if you enter an area that has many stacked objects, there would be a bunch of lag in the three-dimensionally stacked area because downward rays were hitting all of the objects and wasting compute time. But the 2D spatial partitioning went a long way towards just only intersecting the guy against, things that are near to him to make the performance a lot better, and it got to where this would function. So fundamentally, when it comes to getting Gordo6908 to Eastern Kingdoms, I think that you could use the exact same 2D spatial partitioning algorithm that I had been using, which was just me copying somebody's code off the internet for a quad tree or something. You could do that same thing, and WMO files would probably work 9 times out of 10. You just basically need to load the art data, which is going to be a vertex array, and the texture data on top, which is going to be like a 2D texture coordinate array, and 1 or 2 other things. So I really do sort of take for granted that WMOs are going to work when I would get there. Knowing the way that the company did things back then, I'm sure they'll have something odd, like the X and Y coordinates are flipped and Z is always inverse, and you have to add the spatial size of some random crap to some other thing, and then the WMO will be constructed as a collection of object references to other objects repeated instead of just a geometry or whatever. But my point is, I sort of take it for granted that WMOs are going to load. I mean, that's the kind of thing where you're basically just writing something to port them. Essentially, we're parroting whatever the person did that gave me this geometry file as a Warcraft 3 file. Again, you could actually just use that person's code if you could find it, but I was having fun making something that worked directly without external programs, sort of an open source kind of thing. So I would be quite inclined to go and find the programs other people wrote, read them a little bit, and then just put that same code into the thing I was writing. That's probably what I would do. So WMOs make sense. I think they would be fairly straightforward. That's like Ironforge or something, right? If my life depended on it, if I was gonna if the CIA captured me and they put me in a dark room with my personal computer and they told me that in the next 6 hours they were either going to kill me or I would have to upload a video running around the inside of Ironforge. So I had to, do that. How would I do it? And could I do it? I'm pretty sure I would. I'm pretty sure I would just go online and find some program, whatever this guy used, and just export Ironforge as a Warcraft model file, and then you'd be good to go. So that's one thing. But that's a bit fake. The real way that just feels connected would be to just load it from inside the map data, all in one session, one program. You push go, and you're in Eastern Kingdoms. So I'll probably do that later, but I don't think I want to do that right now. I think right now we want to try to do map partitioning, or at least think about it. And it is kind of interesting to think, where do you do that from? If I was a super genius, if I knew exactly what to do, it might be that I could do it really fast. Maybe I could do it on video and just plunk it out. But I was trying to do that the other day, and notably I did it wrong. I did it wrong in a couple of ways, but it definitely didn't work. And I came to the realization that almost no matter what I did, it was not going to work. It was sort of interesting. This was an interesting realization, right? So it's kind of fun to think about that. How do you overcome that? But, now that I'm sitting here talking about it, I'm tempted to take a break and come back another day, actually. Yeah, I don't know. So I've got the problem statement, which of course is very easy, but I don't currently have the code to solve it. And it is interesting to wonder, we're getting to a point where AI might be able to write a lot of software. It'd be quite interesting if somebody actually uploaded a YouTube video just asking an AI for the solution to this. That would be interesting. That would be really interesting. But if you think about it, it's kind of a hard problem, because getting back to this thing, when we're only loading that, right, and that's about the limit of our system, and suddenly we're like, oh, by the way, I want to actually load this, right? You run into some problems doing that. And I've shown, if I jump down here, I can be like, oh, you know what, actually, let's load that. And that works. And I can be like, oh, you know what, actually, let's load that. And that works, or, oh, actually, let's load that. There was I was like down here somewhere where the fish in the sky were. So, in terms of isolated areas, can load them pretty well. And in order to make that happen, Warcraft 3 has a problem that you can only have 16 tiles on the ground. And a lot of people have said, well, if you open source the game, you wouldn't have that limit. I actually used to say that a few years ago before I tried open sourcing the game. I supported this notion that, well, hey, if you actually write the game yourself, you wouldn't have a tile limit. A tile limit is stupid. But when I actually copied the code from the guy that made the Hive world editor and pasted that code into Warsmash to make Warcraft 3 terrain-ish visually, his code had the exact same problem on some computers. And that's the worst part, is I can write it and it worked on my computer if I go beyond 16 tiles, and then somebody else tries it on their computer and it doesn't work. In fact, I tried on one of my old hardwares, and the way this code was written, it didn't even work for 16 tiles. It was actually inferior to Warcraft 3. The reason for that was the way that we use hardware texture units, and essentially that Warsmash is loading the entire terrain geometry of the world all at one time, just uploading that to the graphics card and saying go, and rendering in one render call the entire terrain. It's kind of fast, you know, okay, we have the graphics card do the rendering on that object, and I guess it decides what's on the screen and what's not, and in theory that's maybe pretty fast. But in practice, when it comes to this World of Warcraft thing we have here, you know, okay, this is, even if we just assume that each of these is one tile, which they're not, they're a bunch of different things. You look here and you have both gray and green, right? Okay, but let's assume they were each one tile, and you could sit here and be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, let's call this 11, 12 Stormwind-ish, there's like some dirt under it, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So you have at least 21 different kinds of colors of ground, and this is before you investigate the fact that this one has light green, dark green, both, and other things. And so if you load all of these in any sort of Warcraft 3 map, it would never work, ever. And then on Warsmash, when you think, well, I don't have those limits. Actually, there are those limits because of texture limits. So then you get to the absolute difference between, you know, in the recent videos that I uploaded, there is notably a difference between two of these. One like this one, where near the end of this video, I show a clip. Yeah. I showed a clip here of an earlier version of this technology where you can see that I almost appear to be an Ironforge, but it doesn't really have the Ironforge looking terrain. At that point, you could have exported that to Warcraft 3 and had a completely identical map file actually on Warcraft 3, because the terrain as I was loading it was just modifying the parser, parsing this other format, shoving it into the same Warcraft 3 system, and rendering that on the screen. Now, if you look at, you know, this, right, this isn't that. You can't possibly get this terrain into Warcraft 3. It's got too much going on. It's not, you know, Warcraft 3 is this like corner-based thing of you splat a corner and splat other corners nearby. And this is not that. You know, you look at these things, and even if someone gave you into Warcraft 3 the tile to do it, how would you draw like that hill over there or something, right? Like, it's not going to happen. You're not going to do that because the system fundamentally doesn't support it. So luckily enough, as I was dealing with that and figuring out, you know, how can I get the system to support what we see here, what I discovered was that fundamentally, in each of these little sub-regions of World of Warcraft that I'm loading, if I scanned over all of them in the world and looked at how many different tiles are in any one little region like that, the worst offender somewhere, and I don't remember where, I don't think I actually knew visually, I just had the computer scan the map and tell me. The worst offender, I believe, had like 19 tiles. It was more than 16. And so I actually came to realize almost no matter what I did, I was not going to construct a system wherein even this loading of one tiny little segment like that would work in my Warcraft 3 map simulator, because I had this 16 tile limit. And I was throwing the entire map at the graphics card in a render call, a single render call, that in that call only really has 16 texture units if you're on 15-year-old hardware, which I kind of like people to be able to do that. Realistically, if you run my code on 15-year-old hardware, it'll probably never work. There's probably nothing you could do. But I'd like to kind of imagine that it's not far away, that it, you know, if someone really bright wanted to do that, that they could probably figure it out. You know, taking modern technology for granted is a little bit stupid when you know that, obviously, you know, when I was playing on like a Pentium in 2005 or something, you know, World of Warcraft ran fine on that Pentium. It, you know, it looked great. Those were great memories, great times. You know, if I had that same code now, it would be great. So to sit here and think that I can't do the same thing that they did on a Pentium is ridiculous, right? And so you're like, okay, so I have to not have the tile limit. So I actually went in the code, and I did probably what I should have done a long time ago, and I think maybe Warcraft 3 actually works the same way, and so in some respects, maybe I'm just improving the code. But I actually went to, and I did this off screen, there's no video of this, but so I had this terrain file Warcraft 3 terrain, and I turned it into an interface. So notably, the way that I currently wrote this, the system is still cross-compatible. Now, I don't commit this code back to the original War Smash because in my mind, it's kind of annoying and weird to do that. And again, this is not a map file that we could load because at the moment, the World of Warcraft character definition thing just loads on any map. So if you're running this modified client, whenever you push Alt-Z or whatever you set the hotkey to, it jumps from Warcraft 3 screen to World of Warcraft screen with 1 unit per player being designated as that player's World of Warcraft hero thing. It supports multiplayer as far as I know. I've never actually been graced with, another human being that wanted to play it with me. But hypothetically, you could, right? And you could be running around on this and have like 2 different little world. They would lag a little bit. It's kind of like if you've ever seen the arrow key movement systems on Warcraft 3. And there's always this, some people say that they describe it as because it's synchronous, right? But it's like when I hit the arrow, it tells your computer, it tells back to my computer, and then eventually you start moving as opposed to an instantaneous motion. So when you do that in multiplayer, it's maybe not a good multiplayer, right? It's not the experience you would get on like a World of Warcraft server simulator or something. But it interfaces with the Warcraft 3 simulation. So if you want to do like combat with units you place in Warcraft World Editor or something, hypothetically you could have done that, except now where obviously that becomes more difficult when you can't remotely possibly open the map on Warcraft 3 map editor because it's just not that at all. So all that being said, the map geometry is this new idea that I implemented. And notably, if you go to terrain, and this is actually the Warcraft 3 terrain, it has a function, render ground, that renders the ground. And that's this function, like I was saying, where I call GL draw elements instanced, and I just throw the entire Warcraft 3 terrain at the graphics card all at one time. Which, that might actually be kind of performant if you have a decent, reasonably good card, because it means that on your central processor of your computer, it's just like one step. It's like, oh, hey, by the way, draw that terrain I told you about. Doop, one step. But the downside of that is you're going to only be able to, in that one step, get the terrain as as in whatever a graphics card's hardware can handle. And so then the hardware has this limitation of how many textures you can upload. And so all of a sudden I can only upload some limited number. So it becomes suboptimal. So what I did in this World of Warcraft one to try to avoid that, and so like if you go to terrain WDT, which is the file it switches to if you open a World of Warcraft map instead of a Warcraft 3 map. So part of my other point here, I guess, is it's interesting that that's cross-compatible. But if you switch it to the World of Warcraft map and we look at render ground, you'll notice the function's empty. I just deleted it. Instead of that, what I created is something that tries to better map to what I was seeing in the World of Warcraft data, which seemed to be that the map is broken in many segments, and each of those segments have a different set of textures used, which is 4 layers. Conveniently, it seemed to never surpass like 4, so I think I hard-coded mine at like 4 or something, but essentially it loads the 4 World of Warcraft textures and then does this kind of alpha map between them in a way that's a little bit different than what the Warcraft 3 thing I copied from the other guy was doing. But at the end of the day, I kind of feel like a similar concept would actually be better for the Warcraft 3 simulation, because then you wouldn't have the tile limit, which, a lot of people on Warcraft 3 have asked for a number of years, that why can't they make a map with, 30 different tiles if they want to like draw something that approximates the World of Warcraft map and make some really big Warcraft 3 map that's like, oh, look, I almost made WoW in Warcraft 3 or something. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, you would imagine I'm sort of improving the system by doing that. And so there's literally just like a class in the same file down at the bottom that is these sort of chunk model instances that, have this code that looks extremely similar to render ground to draw them, but it's only drawing some subsection that during the load process is using this chunk grid size, which is just a 9x9 thingamawhatsit. And, it's sort of like 8x8 squares, but 9x9 endpoints that have their own, each their own height for that. So fundamentally, and part of why I bring this up, this system of handling the map render in chunks is actually quite good in terms of being similar to what you want if you're going to load the entire world instead of a little tiny segment. Because now we fundamentally have the mechanism to describe perhaps the entire world as different pieces, and then as you run between them, The graphics card would be able to, only render those ones you tell it about that are nearby, which is kind of an inherent system in the way that the model rendering thing works. So I kind of hooked into the Ghost Wolf render engine and just told it that these terrain segments are model instances, and so it starts to sort of optimize to only draw the ones that are in the screen. And I kind of thought maybe that would mean I could actually scale it up and load the entire map quite easily. But of course, when I tried that earlier, that did not work at all. And it seemed to me that probably the reason that it didn't work, among other things, is that in a fairly fundamental way, it seemed like on my computer, it was still too many things to load the entire map. That, when I break it into these chunks and upload all the chunks, the concept that from the moment the game starts, all of the chunks are loaded into graphics RAM, and we're just selecting a subset based on what's on the screen to draw. That might be a performance selection of the subset, but there are so many different chunks that fundamentally we still lag badly. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about, and this is a problem that might not be solved too quickly. I'm just saying. It would be nice to solve it very quickly. I do still think that the ultimate fun goal of this would be to just get in my car and go all the way up here, and hop through like Duskwood or something, get into here, get into Red Ridge, zip up here, Syrian Gorge, Blast the Land stuff, go through the Barrens, find myself over here in Loch Modan, maybe stop by Ironforge, and then head on back, and then go through Wetlands, which you could probably only do if you have WMO files, because right in here there's these like Dwarven tunnels. There might actually be one over here as well, that the only way to get from one area to the next would be through the Dwarven tunnel. And then you get over here and you go across this bridge, and then you run up through here, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Hinterlands connects to the stuff north of it, so you probably have to go through, sorry. This is the Hinterlands. I was calling the Airy Peaks over here the Hinterlands. This is the Airy Peaks, isn't it? It's been a little while. Okay, yeah, so you go through like Hinterlands or whatever. I don't know, you go through like up here or something, or maybe you go through up here, you end up in like, Western Plaguelands, go over to Eastern Plaguelands or something like that. But I feel like that would be a pretty fun video, even if I just, record myself driving along and talking while I do it. I just have this sort of fundamental problem that in order to do all of that, I'm gonna need to figure out a better system for dealing with subgeometries. It's also very interesting to me that this area is so dark. I wonder what that looks like, if that's like some kind of alpha thing on the map. I don't know. Anyway, so I think it would be fun to try to do that. I know what I want. I have the problem statement in mind, and we're close to it. But right now, when I try to load this entire map, and I wrote a piece of code, totally brainless piece of code, and I just told it, you know what, take this little code that loads a little square like that, and load all of it, the whole thing, all in one go. I tried it. I only have 32 gigabytes of RAM on my computer, and I don't think it has a graphics card, so it didn't really have any dedicated graphics RAM. It just shared the same RAM or something. And what I would find is it would immediately explode, and it would explode because we're trying to render within these Warcraft 3, or within the World of Warcraft maps. We take a section like this, and that section, if we project it out here and think about it, it turns out this is divided in like 16 pieces or something, right? So there's like this sort of 16 by 16 grid, and then each of those pieces, maybe I use like a different color here and like a smaller line. Each of those pieces was actually 8 by 8. So if you can imagine, like, what is this? This, I'm not going to make it to 8 before I run out of space, am I? I've got like 4. Yeah, they would have to be closer together for me to really do this. Maybe like that. Yeah, that's like 4 on half of it or something, right? Here's another one. 2, 3. 6, 7, yeah, maybe like another one. Anyway, so if you can imagine this being like a little 8 by 8 grid, Anyway, this is how the World of Warcraft map is structured, and it has this little 8x8 grid in here that, you know, I'm not like drawing very accurately. And inside that 8x8 grid, each actual cell, in Warcraft 3, these used to be 2 triangles. And so I actually changed that when we're interpreting the World of Warcraft map, instead it's 4 triangles, because the World of Warcraft map appears to have data for the height in the middle. So you have this thing, which is like 4 triangles in each of those cells. And it turns out, you know, the way that Warcraft 3 operates is that inside that thing of 4 triangles, there's a resolution of, independent of those triangles, like 4 squares basically on the corners that are the actual pathing cells. So you can do the math on that, but this allocates an extraordinarily wasteful number of potential physical cells where you can like construct buildings in the Warcraft 3 sense. And I was not using a really smart partitioning system to try to fix this. I was just allocating a giant array. So you can kind of figure out on, you know, even just back of your hand math how big this array would be. It turns out that this might be a slight overestimate, but what it seemed to tell me in the code is that this big thing here, you know, it's made of those little squares like the one that I was loading as an entire Warcraft 3 map. And the code and the people on the internet who kind of inform me about this stuff, they were telling me that it's 64 by 64 always, and that some World of Warcraft maps just don't use all of the cells or something. I don't quite understand why they would do that. I mean, the Warcraft 3 system of actually having a designated size and then an amount of data relative to that size seems more logical to me. And I know World of Warcraft definitely has some small maps, but who knows? I don't really understand World of Warcraft data. So it seemed to be it was always 64 by 64 of those, and perhaps there's just a lot of unused ones. Even if we assume, you know, generously that only half of them in one dimension are used and that the map is using all of them in the other dimension, which I think is not quite accurate. It seemed like the code was telling me it was using a bunch. Even you assume that, you know, okay, so you'd have 2048 of these things, and inside of those things, you know, is a 16 by 16 grid, right? And so that's like the number of these like 9 by 9 parts that I was drawing in here, right? And so you have that many 9 by 9 parts, and then we're like, okay, and every one of those parts, you know, it used to be on Warcraft 3, it was 2 triangles. Wow, it's like 4 triangles. But those 4 triangles have actually 4 cells in them, the way I was doing it. We can already figure out then that this will have, you know, 170 million pathing cells that we allocate. And then it becomes a question of, well, okay, so what do you put in those pathing cells? To even store 1 byte of data would mean you'd need 170 million bytes. Now that's not that bad. That's 170 megabytes of RAM. But it seemed to be what I was seeing is worse than that. And so probably one component of this was, you know, the map's twice that far across. So, okay, maybe it's, you know, 340. And again, this might be due to some unused areas. You know, I suppose I'm allocating for like out here and stuff. But even if we do that, now I'm actually questioning my math because it seems like not even as big a number as the first time I did this. But yeah, we have this 16 by 16, and then we have the 9 by 9s inside of them, and then we have the 4. And actually, depending on how you look at it, it's 9 by 9 corners, so it might be 8 by 8. So I guess if we were going to, again, calculate this sort of liberally, you would think, okay, 64 times 32, that many of these like blocks, and okay, so these blocks each have 16 by 16 inside of that, and then each one of those is this 8 by 8, and then 8 by 8, yeah, and then each one of those is, I already have like a different number than I had before. Why is that? Oh, probably because I did 8 by 8 instead of 9 by 9. Okay, and then each of those inside was a 2 by 2, probably. Okay, 2 by 2. Sure, so that seems to line up. Again, we've got, okay, 130 megs or something of data for 1 layer of pathing cell. Now, Smash actually allocates 2 of them because it likes to have a dynamic one and a static preset one or something like that. So, okay, so we're using 270 megabytes of RAM. This actually sounds better than the last time I did this math, but it gets worse because at every one of those cells currently, the way Smash is written, for every player, and Warcraft 3 usually has 16 players, we allocate a Java object that represents if we want to run pathfinding search on that cell for like a unit running through it. And those objects, pathfind processor, yeah, those node objects actually, well, they're not quite a single byte. Instead, they have all of this inside of them, which seems to be, you know, what is that? Probably an 8-byte pointer, another 8-byte pointer, an 8-byte floating point value, another 8-byte floating point value, another 8-byte pointer, and a 4-byte integer. And this is assuming that the Java object only uses the size of a C struct, which is false. Java actually wastes a bunch of space on objects beyond that. But even with that much, we end up with 5 times 10 to the 14 of these things, which, how much is that, right? So if we take the decimal point out of here and we make sure this is times 10 to the 14 so I can actually see it, you know, okay, so 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, you know, whatever that number is, that we can safely assume that that's too much memory. It's way, way, way too much memory. So I saw that and I thought, okay, so one of the things is I'll just shut down the pathfind processor and I'll just tell units whenever you right click, they just run straight. And you know, if I'm like making fun of Warcraft 3 and WoW or something, instead of having the Warcraft 3 units be smart about pathfinding, you know, we can shut that down and fix that code later and just have them run straight. So I tried doing that, and this still didn't work. And it is interesting to think like, okay, why? And now I'm thinking about this. This is actually interesting to think about because I keep coming up with this number that it would take 130 megabytes of RAM, which just seems way lower than the last time I tried to calculate this. And I'm wondering what I did differently. So the other time I tried to calculate this, I mean, it was, I don't know, I seem to be getting a number substantially lower than the other time I tried to calculate this. I guess part of it is this assumption of 2048 in one dimension. Maybe what I was doing when I thought this through the time before was that I was thinking that the map's distance across, even if it was, you know, 64 by 32, would be, you know, this 64 was units of 16 at a time. So it was like 1024 in one dimension and 512 in the other dimension. But the 1024 is these units of 8. So it's 8192 in one dimension. That sounds familiar to the way I did this the other time. I'm just curious if I get a different result. And 4096 in the other. And so then if I say like, okay, 8192 times 4096, and that's the number of these square things. Oh yeah, so maybe one of the problems that I had is that at the moment, and this is kind of maybe the part I couldn't possibly seem to overcome. At the moment when I was talking about those terrain cells that I rendered, something I realized is that this thing here that I'm breaking in 4 pieces, the WoW version of this, when it actually renders, the way the terrain is rendering right now visually, is that in that square, if I try to like draw that, there's a series of layers on top of each other which might have holes in them and each have a texture applied. And the way that those holes are calculated is not Warcraft 3. It's not by cutting it in 4 pieces. It's actually by cutting it again in 8 by 8 pieces. So you have 64 little on-offs that are loading from this file. So maybe this is where my math started to just go completely bonkers. That if we say, okay, so I've approximated the number of these squares that I have. And you know, previously I was saying like, okay, for Warcraft 3, I'd do a 2 by 2 on that and I get 130 RAM. But for World of Warcraft, if I have this 64 by 64 just to render the dirt, you get to this number. Okay, now this number would be 2 gigabytes of RAM if you did it optimally, if you did it exactly right. But that was where it seemed like my computer, everything I did couldn't get past that. It said, no, I refuse to upload to the graphics card that doesn't exist, to the Intel integrated graphics memory, what would have been the equivalent of this 2 gigabytes of data for color information, basically, per layer, and there's 4 layers. Okay, so then you'd imagine this is actually 9 gigabytes of data. Usually, there's not always 4 layers. It might be a slight overestimate, but there's up to 4 layers. So you have this like almost 9 gigabytes of data. Yeah, and I was looking at that and I was trying to think, what do I do with that? Because that seems bad. That seems like a problem that isn't going to go away. Now, I tried feeding my computer, 26 gigabytes of RAM, but I think the other problem that we're running into at that point is this 9 gigabytes of data is assuming perfect optimality in the way that the code was written. That if you only allocate one time exactly what you need. And my Java code just isn't like that. It's just a bunch of crap. And all it takes is a factor of 2, allocate this twice or something. I don't know that I expressly do that, but if we look at the way that my terrain is loading down here, you can imagine, yeah, okay, this alpha map handles or whatever. So, I mean, this is this thing I was just saying that I think was hitting that limitation. And, it looks like, okay, maybe I, just allocate that and upload it to the graphics card. But presumably, my allocation here that's allocating this buffer of data and then loading numbers into it. Yeah, okay, so like one thing I was doing is instead of using 1 byte for each of those segments, I was converting them to floating point. I made my code run better. There was some issue. When I tried to just upload single bytes to the graphics card, it was complaining. I don't know, I was rounding them wrong or some nonsense. And I was like, all right, in software, I'm just going to convert them to floating point and upload floating point. But you know what that does? That multiplies this by another factor of 4. And so then we have this problem that, well, okay, so now we're dealing with, 34 gigabytes of RAM. And then there's just nothing. There's just nothing I'm going to do that's going to make that run on a computer that has 20 gigabytes of RAM. Even if I did it. So I suppose I could try to fix the thing with the floating point. But then I have this other problem that, well, what I'm doing is constructing a Java thing of it that is a linear array in exactly the way I want. And it turns out, that's this duplicate of what I've parsed out of the World of Warcraft file. So now I have 2 of them. And then I'm calling a function in OpenGL to take that duplicate and dump it to the graphics card. So now I have 3 of them. And so now you have this extra factor of 3 in here. And it just, the suboptimality of my code is suddenly like, oh, sorry, now you need 100 gigabytes to play the game. That's junk. That's so junk. I mean, there's World of Warcraft ran on Pentiums. They ran on they didn't do this. And so it's interesting to think about, what did they do that let them run on Pentiums? Because obviously, when I was a kid, I could play this game and I didn't need 100 gigabytes of memory to do it. I didn't need anything remotely close to 100 gigabytes of memory to do it. Like that is trash. That is trash software. So I was thinking about this, and obviously one thing that I could do would be to try to have us unload and load segments of the world as you walk around. And if you do that, these numbers all go dramatically down. It just becomes a question of, can I parse the original map 1 time, which I can probably do, and then throw that 1-time parsed map into the system and just have it go. But it seemed to me, sorry, I was staring into space for a second. Maybe I didn't get outside enough today. What am I trying to say? Let's think about what I was trying to say. When I'm saying that this parsed map would be the only time it's stored. Basically what I'm saying is, if you parse the file 1 time, however big that file is, you'd use that much RAM, and then when you walk to a place, you load that place out of what was parsed, you render that, and then when you walk to another place, you unload that from the graphics card, right? I mean, at some point that creates a memory requirement that would be so much dynamically lower. The problem goes away, it doesn't matter, and you don't have to worry about it. And I'm not sure my system is entirely geared to doing that. When I think about the way that I was loading these chunks and already drawing the map in pieces, which is a great step towards doing that, the pieces that I'm drawing are getting decided, they're getting selected by the existing render system as though they were unit models that could be on screen or off screen. And then it's deciding based on the frustum of what's visible whether to render those. And so that didn't really, in the current software, have a really great binding to tell me when they are no longer off screen, and also didn't have a good binding to time that out, you know, to say, oh, you haven't looked at that part of Duskwood in 5 minutes. I'm just gonna, you know, free it up from the memory or whatever. So that problem has the potential to be really annoying to try to solve. And one idea that popped in my head when I looked at this before, although I didn't do this yet, was what if I try to solve it by using the system I was using myself to, you know, select a tiny region next to Ironforge, and then hypothetically, if I just load 9 of these regions, let me increase the size of my pen here so you can actually see what I'm drawing. If I load 9 of these regions around the player and I render these, now obviously this has the problem that it assumes single player, or it's like loading and unloading Warcraft 3 terrain universe, whereas it should have been globally shared. You know, if I'm here, and hypothetically Warsmash, this emulator of World of Warcraft thing, does support multiplayer, right? Even though none of the World of Warcraft user interface buttons do anything. I mean, obviously in a perfect world they'll eventually use abilities of that unit from the Warcraft map editor, but just the fundamental premise of trying to have 2 players would mean one guy could be over here doing this and another guy could be over there, you know, doing the same thing. And so how does that work? You know, do we code a system that loads all of them for all the players all the time in case there's some interaction there? Or is it actually a case where the only thing that has to load and unload is the rendering component, and the game logic is this, you know, lockstep Warcraft 3 simulation happening on the entire map all the time, everywhere, over the internet? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really think about that too much, but it's an interesting sort of dilemma to have when trying to imagine, you know, what is the minimum level of effort to just get in a car and go from here to there and then say, hey, Gordo6908, I did it, here you go, and declare victory, because hypothetically we want that to be pretty easy. So I'm going to take a break, maybe cut the video off here, but that's my problem description. It's an interesting problem description. Now, I haven't solved any of it just yet, but I think we know what the problem is, and I just didn't solve it yet, which is kind of interesting to think about. Okay, my computer doesn't have a graphics card, and I'm pretty sure this is the biggest Warcraft 3 map ever of all time. And because this is the biggest Warcraft 3 map ever of all time, it stands to reason that my computer is going to lag when I try to record my screen. But let's see what we can get. So my thought process was I would like to travel from Eastern Plaguelands all the way to Stranglethorn Vale. So I was thinking here with Shelly the Elf, we can start off with this nice Goblin Zeppelin. And the Goblin Zeppelin should be able to pick up Shelly the Elf in her car and carry Shelly in the car around, which should mean we can just click on the map somewhere over here. Pardon the system for loading for a moment when we jump fast across the map, but somewhere over here, load. Yeah, in the Eastern Plaguelands. So we're going to tell our Goblin Zeppelin to just travel over there. I think that sounds pretty good. And then that'll give us a starting point for Shelly the Elf in her car. So let's just fly. Now again, sorry, I just jumped the camera here so you can see when traveling over great distances, there's a short lag time on the terrain, obviously. I think that makes sense that would work that way. Let me see if I hit like insert key. There are also regions of the map like this that... Oh, it died. They're temporary. Okay, we gotta summon another Zeppelin.
Got it!
Oh, that's tough. Alright, Zeppelin, come on. Come on, Zeppelin, fly. We gotta get to Eastern Plaguelands so we can start on our adventure. Okay, here we go. Give me the Eastern Plaguelands so I can start. This is it's a little bit of a ways to get over there. Let's see. We're still here in, you know, over here'sville. Yeah, I guess so. These Goblin Zeppelins are summoned units. I just changed Shelly to have an ability to summon them. I didn't make them last long enough, given how big this map is. This is kind of long here. We gotta see if we can. Maybe we'll have to use the car for a while to get up to the starting point. Yeah, we might have to do that. Come on, Zeppelin. Oh, it busted again. Alright, I see where this is at. Yep, we gotta use the car. I'm in the car. So you can tell it's lagging a little bit, and I think that one of the big reasons that it's lagging is that I'm on a computer that has no graphics card that's running totally open source Linux. And so with no graphics card and none of that other stuff, you know, we're able to run into some issues here. But let's just, you know, just hang out with me for a second. We'll see if we can get there. Oh, there was a lag spike. Sometimes if there's a big lag spike, it can be a good idea to just kind of park the car for a second. Try to wait and see what happens. But yeah, mostly I guess I'm going up through the ruins of Alterac over here, trying to see if I can navigate my way to, you know, whatever comes next. Oh, I landed on the leaves here. This might not have been a good idea. So I don't think our car handles water very well. Let's see if we can go around. Yeah, it would be really nice to have a way to get out of the car, because it would definitely be fun as Shelly to be able to like take pictures over here. But all things considered, I think that yeah, if we're up here in like Alterac and then we jump off and then we end up over here at the car. Trying to double check where we are. Yeah, okay, so we're over here with the car. So actually maybe that's okay. Now, once in a while the car has this problem where it kind of vibrates. And I think this is because, I don't know why actually. So, you know, that's kind of how that is. But it should be okay. It should be okay. Come on, car. Come on, car. Chug, chug, chug. So actually when I was testing this before recording a video, it seemed to have a much better frame rate. And there might be multiple reasons why that was. You know, I guess it could be, I'm displaying this on an external display on a big TV for fun right now. Oh, this must be, what is this, like Charlemagne's or something over here? I guess it's a big open area. Anyway, all of that aside, we gotta get to the Eastern Plaguelands so we can start a journey going all the way across the world over here. Just got a little ways more to go. Oh, the car got stuck on something. Sometimes I just jump if it stops moving. I don't know what I'm hitting that's doing that. I'm not quite sure. That's interesting. Yeah, there's been a little bit more of that now. Bumping into something. I don't know. So you could imagine, I'm pretty sure if your computer was not video recording on an external display, and you actually had a graphics card, I don't think that the frame rate would really be this bad. So obviously I'm in, this is a very first edition here. I think it can be better than that. Oh yeah, I got stuck on something again. I'm not quite sure what that is. Just sometimes the car just kind of gets stuck. Oh, here we go. Oh, I fell in the water. Oh, okay, wait. This is a time when if you fall in the water like that, that is when you know that you should, let's see, go and find the car. Oh, go and find the car. Yeah, there we go. I'm trying to see, I gotta find the car so that I can, oh, my camera's underwater. We gotta find the car and then summon. I should have had Shelly selected. You know what I mean. We find the car, we summon the Zeppelin. It should work things out. Definitely a load time here when I just click on the map like that. I don't even think I traveled very far actually. We seem to be lagging. I've done too much camera travel. It's stalling out a little bit. Not quite sure. Where's the car? This is the question we have to answer. There's the car. It's in this little lake bed down here. Okay, summon the Goblin Zeppelin. Pick up Shelly in the Zeppelin and fly her out of there. Okay, good. I think the car might actually be faster than the Zeppelin. I'm curious. Like, if I tell the Zeppelin to run down the road and then we get in the car, do we outpace the Zeppelin? Yes, we do. Very quickly. Very quickly, we outpace the Zeppelin. Okay, so the Zeppelin's really only good for getting over obstacles. I guess that makes sense. That's probably why it has a timed life. Alright, well, let's see. We gotta get through here because we gotta get all the way to Light's Hope Chapel if we can make it. Let's see. Let's see, folks. Look at that. There's Murloc huts over there. Oh, I hit a tree. Okay, here we go. It's a little bit, it's getting later in the evening here, so I'm gonna definitely have to go to sleep after I do this, but I was thinking we gotta get all the way to Eastern Plaguelands, because once we do that, then I can start my journey all the way across the map, you know, just to say I could, you know, just to say I did. We gotta go all the way across the map once. So let's see. Now sometimes the car, this seems to be getting worse. This thing over the car sometimes runs into invisible obstacles. I'm not quite sure why that happens. I guess if I jump, maybe jumping car helps with invisible obstacles over here. Now, of course, the other thing I really need is we definitely want to get an Archmage so that I can mass teleport across this map because it's so big. I don't think I got one of those. I should get like a peasant, you know, build a base, get an Archmage. It would be a good idea. Let's see. But anyway, we gotta get. This is really. What is that? Oh, I think it's the car is like under the tree maybe, and the tree is like reorienting the car's orientation. I don't know. Maybe something like that. I'm sure you could fix it. It would just be a little bit of software development, you know. Huh. Yeah, when we go under trees, maybe the car gets a little bungled. Bungled. All right. We're so almost there though. Look at me go. This is a fast car. Doop 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 doop. I have a car. Shelly the elf is driving the car. Yeah, this frame rate is very questionable. So I do think the frame rate, I was over here and the frame rate was like perfect, and then I added badly programmed water and a couple other things. I think I slowed it down. So that's probably not helping us very much. Okay, so the bridge is out. We don't have the bridge. Alright, Shelly, where are you? I should have selected Shelly again. I guess I selected the Zeppelin. That makes sense because that was easy to do. It's very inefficient. You'd want to just click on Shelly to get there. Okay, so where are we? There we go. So this is the mountains. Which mountains are these? Oh, some developer was playing in the mountains. Okay. Well, that's not necessarily quite where I wanted to be though. So the map is not quite accurate, but it's close.
I have a land to defend.
Close. Here we go. All right, Shelly. I'll get you with the Zeppelin. Now, I think the Zeppelin travels over water. Oh, the Zeppelin does not travel over water correctly. I think I broke that. You know, there used to be water height, and maybe now there's not. That's very interesting that the orientation of both of them jiggle at the same time. What is that? Oh man. Oh, maybe it's like the bird. Is that a thing that could happen? That they get underneath the bird? No, because I don't think that's how War Smash should work. That the bird would like jostle their geometry. I'm actually very unsure about what is causing that. But hey, we're in Eastern Plaguelands. That's where we wanted to be. So obviously we want to fix the model jostling that was happening there. But oh, well, we thought we were in Eastern Plaguelands. So when this happens, I have a throttle on some certain functions that occasionally might do that, but you know, you just kind of hang out for a second, it gets better. And most of the time, I think if you're like doing a single character, if you're not map jumping around like I was doing with the Zeppelin and the other stuff, then it should be fine, I think. It's just the more you jump around the map, you know, the more loading it triggers. But it's an interesting question, right? Can we get all the way from here to Stranglethorn and then like back again? What did I run into? Definitely some interesting physics there. Let's see. At least the birds are flying around. That's cool, right? Look, these green things are animated. I don't even know. That's kind of cool. Alright, so I was looking for Light's Hope Chapel, and I think what happened is that Light's Hope Chapel is a WMO file, so I don't think you can actually find it over here. I think it just doesn't show up. But we might be able to find other stuff. So one of the things I noticed, I kind of thought that the whole like Scarlet Enclave, New Avalon, and all that stuff was just totally thrown in by the developers of like Wrath of the Lich King. But then I found out that's not entirely the case. Actually, this area here from the other Shelly video, of course that other video is just somebody's Reforged map, and now we're going a bit more crazy here. This area, you know, Shelly has been here before, but last time Shelly didn't have a car, and last time Shelly had WMO files loading. And anyway, this is the alpha version, so there's no way to the water over there, as you can see. But I figured that because we can't really get to Light's Hope Chapel because it doesn't exist, because I think it's a WMO file like that, it might be reasonable if we sort of instead of that, there's some messed up looking terrain over there. You know, the frame rate is actually leaving something to be desired over here. I have to say, there might be some memory leaks. I do start to wonder. There might be. Oh, it got better though. Actually, it got a little bit better. Okay, let's see if we can find. The Light's Hope Chapel wasn't here as far as I could tell, but there's this burned down looking chapel. So like maybe this is the ruins of Light's Hope, which implies, you know, maybe that is Light's Hope Chapel in the alpha. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have the chapel. So all we got to do now is get to Stranglethorn Vale. How hard can that be? Doop, doop, doop. Although if I keep running into weird invisible collision that didn't seem to be there when I tested this previously, which yeah, I don't know. Kind of, if that happens, it'll slow us down. So what I tested previously is I went up here to Light's Hope and went back down, basically, to right about where Wetlands is. I have not, as of yet, tried going across the entire map. So definitely this will be an interesting one, but let's go for it. Yeah, we just want to take the road here, I guess. See if we can take the road along to, let's see. Oh, what did I run into? I ran into something. Yeah, so the thought process would be we want to take the road, maybe go through Tirisfal this time, head back south. It's very curious that sometimes I seem to bump into something, and I don't quite understand what I'm bumping into. Maybe if I just keep jumping, we don't have to think about it. Now, wait a minute. Am I going the right direction? I think I'm going the right direction, but I don't actually know. It would be nice if I had a map. Oh, hey, that time I actually bounced off of the invisible thing. I wonder what that is. That's something. Have they fooled me into going north instead of west? Obviously I wanted to go west and go from the eastern Plaguelands to the western Plaguelands, but I'm becoming skeptical of the direction that I'm going. This is an interesting test of my World of Warcraft geographical abilities. Hey, here we go. All right, all right.
I've no time for games.
This is a familiar spot.
Are you threatening me?
What is that flittering of the angle? I don't know. It's something. All right, yeah. Usually on War Smash, a flying unit would fly over the water, so you can see the concept of water height as it applies to flying units is like failing to load or something. Someone should probably fix that. But hey, we're back in, you know, the Western Plaguelands, so this should give us the opportunity to drive through Tearsfall with the car. And as long as somebody comes back later and fixes our rotation, it's very interesting. That didn't happen before I was recording this video. I don't understand what that is. You know, like what is that? What am I supposed to think that that is? I wonder if actually I have no idea. Something about gimbals, you know, like we rotated the car too much and it became gimbal spun to its demise. Except that doesn't make sense because whatever happened also happened to the Goblin Zeppelins. So yeah, I don't know. Is this, where does this go? Oh no, this just goes to like some base where the buildings are missing because they're WMO files. Okay, never mind. Don't need to be here. Anyway, yeah, this is actually a lot laggier than I was hoping it would be. You know, when I was testing this, when I wasn't recording, the frame rate was actually quite nice, to be honest. Better, I think, than it's being here. And it wasn't doing this thing where models would spin out. I don't know quite what that is. It's interesting. It's definitely some kind of bizarre bug. Yeah, what am I running into when that happens? Or are we just forgetting that I was holding the mouse down? The frame rate got a little bit better here. Okay, alright, alright. Oh, the car is still spinning though. How do I make that car stop spinning like that? You know, I've got the wheels, I've got the, and then our evaluation of tilt becomes totally wrong. Obviously the unit shadow is also like floating above the car or something. I don't know. What is this? This is the ruins of Lordaeron. I suppose we could kind of cheat and go through the ruins of Lordaeron maybe. Unless any of these physical objects block me. Hopefully they don't do that. Alright, yeah, let's just take the road. Take the road through Tearsfall, the biggest Warcraft 3 map ever made. Or something like that. I mean, you gotta think about, like, how cool is it that, like, even the lamppost light, you know, animates, right? And this is like, oh, this is Warcraft 3, maybe. You know, maybe. Well, it's not World of Warcraft, you can tell that by the lag. Hey, look over there, it's the water. Should we go check out the Murlocs? Oh, I should have put in Murlocs. We could just put Warcraft 3 Murlocs in here. I should have made like a dev button that would just spawn units. That'd be pretty funny. Get them to build buildings or something. Well, here we are in Tearsfall. This seems promising, but yet again, another spot where the bridge is out. I wonder if I can make the jump on this one, actually. You know what I mean? Or, like, use that log over there, and then I don't have to summon it. Oh, yeah, I made the jump, dude. I think I made the jump. Come on, come on. Yeah, there we go. Okay, then we don't have to summon a Goblin Zeppelin. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's lagging a little bit, but actually, I mean, it's doing pretty well. You know, considering how much I had to hack it to do this, one perspective would be that it's doing pretty well. A lot of people are going to look at this and say, oh, well, it's not working very well. But I think it's working great, considering that it's a Warcraft 3 emulator. If you look at it from that perspective, it becomes a whole lot more awesome. And the birds are moving now. You know, when I played that guy's Reforged map where he just did some export program, he didn't have like birds moving in the sky. You know, because they weren't animated, because it was not like that. You know, it was like just some dump export thing. Is this the right, is this where I want to go? Oh yeah, it's like a horde base. Does that go up to like Shadowfang up there? Cool, yeah. I probably shouldn't have gone in here because it's obviously not really where I want to go. I wonder if I can like drive up this. Oh yeah, look at that. Use it for some momentum? Oh, but you can't do that with these walls. Okay, never mind. still, we're making progress, you know? We're making progress. We gotta go over here to Hillsbrad. See if we can find the way. This is not Hillsbrad, never mind. What is this? This must be some attempt at the Gilneas Wall. That tells you that I'm going the wrong way. Yeah, okay. In order to load it on Warcraft 3, obviously I'm using the alpha, not the real World of Warcraft, so it's quite capable of being very wrong in terms of version and everything. Let's see where I get to over here. But hey, you know what? You know what didn't happen? It didn't crash yet. It did not crash yet. How about that? You know, I'm in the car with the Bob's Guns license plate. Dude, look at these lights. See that lamp? It's like glowing. How cool is that? It's an animated glowing lamp. You know, we got animations. Here I am in Hillsbrad. Yeah. I wonder, what am I hitting that's making me stop moving? I really don't think it used to do that. It's like a height trap. Somehow I completely borked the car's movement. Probably out of an attempt to make it go faster, because I was trying to make it go faster. Alright. Alright, Hillsbrad. I think the frame rate's higher in Hillsbrad. Maybe the trees are a little bit simpler. But you don't want to hit the trees though. Alright, don't hit the bush. Alright, Hillsbrad. Anyway, this is pretty good. Oh, we gotta make this jump. Yeah, there we go. Alright, we did it. I made the jump. I'm halfway through Hillsbrad. We gotta get to the Thandal Span. Let's do it. Did you ever think there would be a day we'd get to the Thandal Span on Warcraft? Oh, we're getting some big lag spikes actually. Oh, and the car started moving really slow. Why is the car moving really slowly? It's like running out of gas. I don't think that I programmed that, so that better not happen. We better not run out of gas. Okay, here we go. Arathi. Dude, we're in Arathi. That's great. I'm in Arathi. If only I said it that I was in Arathi. You know, we need like, welcome to Arathi on the screen. That's what we're missing. And there's birds. Look at that bird. There's a bird. Alright, does this go where I want to go? I think I was here once before. I was trying to navigate Arathi without the map in this alpha client. And I just hit a bush. You should just pass through the bushes. Anyway, this is not the right place, but it's kind of fun looking. You know, this is one of these Arathi places. But yeah, I think there's also definitely some missing WMO files or something. You know, we got this thing over here in Arathi. I really got to fix that car janking out. It was doing better before I started recording. I thought it seemed better. Maybe it was just me. All right, guys. Well, you know the drill. I should be on the road, and I'm not. So we'll see where we end up over here. But I think maybe the road is actually. I could have been on the road. You know, this would have just. All right, now I hit that bush, which is not too good to hit the bush. But yeah, here we go. All right. Yeah. This is where we would have wanted to have been coming in from. So you can tell I'm going sort of backwards right now. And that would be the road I would have been on if I didn't take that little shortcut right there. So yeah, we're good. We're good, guys. Look at that. There's water over there. Do you think how cool that is? I got Warcraft 3 water. It works perfectly. There's nothing wrong with it. All right, I'm just trying to laugh at myself. Whatever. Look at that waterfall. Look at that waterfall with the water on the top. Yeah, they're going to be trying to export this to Warcraft 3 map editor pretty soon. We got another one of these holes we got to jump over, though, so we can get to Thandal Span. Just go for it. Just go for it. Gun it. Gun it. Gun it. Gun it. Oh, there we go. So this is why you need to be able to summon a Goblin Zeppelin. Okay. So this is the Thandle span, and as far as I can tell, it is also a WMO file and also did not load. So we can either jump into the water, or maybe, actually on this alpha client, maybe the bridge had been destroyed and Thandle span didn't even exist. I don't know. I'm actually not sure how that worked. Was Thandle span repaired at some point? So if I go back to here, can I, oh, there's Rathy. Let's see if we can navigate south. Oh, get some lag spikes here. Doop doop da doop 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 da doo. Lag spike. Okay. Just wave the mouse a little bit. That'll usually help with the lag spike. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So here's the bridge. Here's where we just hopped over. The lag. There's quite a bit of lag over here. But oh, I was gonna say Shelly was there. Now I don't see Shelly. Not quite sure. You know what? At times like this, if you get a big lag spike, maybe you just wait for it for a second. I don't know what it's doing, but we'll just wait for it. I wonder if the camera jumped to some other place. I'm just gonna wave the mouse around a little bit. See if that can cause us to. Oh yeah, here's Shelly. Okay. Because now if I have Shelly selected, I can just click on Shelly. That's pretty good. Yeah, we seem to have ended up out in the Great Sea somewhere. I'm trying to click on Shelly. Navigate the camera to where Shelly is located. See if that will help. But it doesn't seem to be navigating. Which is actually quite interesting. I'm not quite sure where the camera is, to be quite honest. It would have been really good to actually put the camera on the map. That would have been a good one. I'm also very unsure why clicking Shelly doesn't teleport me there. Let me just do one of these, you know, and then do one of these. Yeah, okay. That, I don't know why any of that worked, but here we are. Let's summon the Zeppelin. This is what we really needed to do.
Got it!
We load Shelly in the Zeppelin as the game refreshes itself. Now, I definitely should have made Zeppelins fly over top of water again. I don't know how that got broken, but let's go to the Thandle span other side over here. Yeah, I don't know. Apparently the Thandle span is just busted in the water. I find that interesting. Maybe this is like a alpha thing, like the Thandle span was like destroyed. I don't know. Or maybe there's like rubble of an old one. I can't tell because we don't have WMO files. But here we are. We've Zeppelined ourselves over.
Land to defend.
We're doing pretty good, you know. Here we are in wetlands. All right, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it, folks. The Zeppelin strategy is the good strategy. Do. Zeppelin strategy will not fail us now. All right, wetlands. We gotta follow the road here. Do. Lags. Oh, all right, big lags. I don't really know why. Big lags. I hit my car with some lag again. Just jumped over that one. I'm not going to wait for that bridge. So, obviously the other problem that you'll have in wetlands, and this is going to be a big one, is over here in wetlands we have... What is it that makes the car stall out like that? I really got to stop the car stalling out. Fix whatever that is. Yeah, so anyway, over here in wetlands, as some people may be familiar with, we have the Dwarven tunnels. Now, of course, the Dwarven tunnels are going to be my worst enemy because they're WMO files, and we don't have the WMO files loading. So without those, we're going to be stuck until we get over here to Shelly with the car again. Yeah, here's Shelly with the car. Now, I think the world is just loading for a moment. I'm sure it'll come back. Yeah, here we go. Summon our Zeppelin. And this ought to help us. Where the heck is that Zeppelin? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. It's like above the tree, probably.
Got it!
Alright, yeah, we got Shelly and the Zeppelin. There we go. Go up here. Yes. Now, as I'm sure some people are familiar with, I think that cavern would have come out right here. If, for the sake of saying we did, we could unload from our Zeppelin up here and jump down and come back up. But I think you can imagine, you know, if somebody fixes WMOs, we would be able to do this. Come on, car. Come on, car. Alright, well now we're hitting invisible obstacles from height. I noticed, if you ever played badly programmed games, sometimes the reverse button is actually more powerful than the forward button. So I did notice recently that I can reverse up cliffs sometimes. Even if you wouldn't be able to drive forward up the cliff, you can kind of reverse up the cliff. So I don't know that this is particularly good software development right here, but you know, if it works, it works, right? Now I'm Shelly and I'm just reversing my way up the cliff, and you know, sometimes that can be pretty good if it works. There we go, reverse my way over the cliff. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I actually went into the ground. I don't even know how that's possible. Okay. Somebody needs to review the software of how this game is programmed. Okay, well here's the orc base. So I'm in the orc base over here. I'm going to go under this little thing. Which apparently the vines are treated as a physical obstacle. That is sub-ideal. That is definitely non-ideal. Physical obstacle vines. Come on, Shelly. Can we back through this? No? Oh, okay, well... Beep, 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 beep. This is what you do. That's how you get around it. And that is how you get over that thing. Okay, great. Cool. So I think we're going to need another Zeppelin here unless we want to go, you know, up like a sheer cliff. Oh, okay, let's see. Yeah, up a sheer cliff. That's a very difficult zoom-in camera. Yeah, it looks like a sheer cliff up there. Okay. So if we just roll on up here,
We elves are not easy prey.
We elves are not easy prey. Okay, that's a lot of height incline. I don't think your Warcraft 3 is going to handle that height change very well, but let's see if we can get... something happened, it's loading. I think the Zeppelin might actually be on his way, though. Hopefully. So, when the world refreshes, maybe... Yeah, there you go. Oh, this is bad. It's blinking in and out. It's not just disappearing and reappearing one time. That's very concerning. Well, anyway, here's the road. We gotta right-click the road, click unload all on the Zeppelin. Get Shelly on the road, dude. Let's do it. Let's do it. Because we gotta get south. I don't know where this freaking Zeppelin is. Oh, here it is. It's in above the tree. Yeah, just in time. Okay, great. Good Zeppelin. Good Zeppelin. All right. Yeah, that's supposed to be a Dwarven bunker, I think, but obviously the WMO file didn't load. Somebody needs to get a WMO fix in this code base. We gotta get WMO files here pretty soon. All right. Let's see. I'm going down the road, but the next thing we gotta do probably is maybe just see when we pass like Theranos, you know, and see some nice things down there. Yeah, there's Theranos. Now, of course, the little Dwarven buildings didn't load. Oh, wait, why? I gotta tell you, this was loading a lot better. The cache was better when it was not screen recording. I think there's some lag taking place here that somebody ought to fix. So anyway, obviously here we are in Loch Modan. You could go check out the lock. We could go to Iron Forge, perhaps, over to the side if you wanted to. But Iron Forge requires more Dwarven tunnels, and Dwarven tunnels are kind of bad. Let's see if the water loaded. Do we actually have like the... Yeah, there you go. You can go for a swim. Loch of Loch Modan. Alright, that's a good sightseeing here. Before the thing lags too badly. I don't think the water is programmed very well, so there might be some lag over there. That car got stuck on that. Let's get back on the road. Alright, back on the road. There we go. Oh, there's like a summoning stone thing. Okay. Probably has something to do with the alpha. It's the alpha map, you know? Oof, lots of lag. I'm getting hit with lag. Oh, the day changed. It's daytime now. You know, we have the Warcraft 3 clock still, so the day changes periodically. That way night elves can shadow meld at night every 5 minutes or whatever. Anyway, if we head on down this way, in this nice looking place, we should... Hold on, what are we doing, car? The car was in the sky for a moment. There's an issue with that. Because of multiplayer Warcraft 3 isms, there's weird stuff going on with interpolation. In theory, though, if you had multiplayer, you could have 2 of these. Oh, okay, so I gotta go get Shelly with the camera here because, yeah, we got away from Shelly. Anyway, Loch Madonna is a pretty cool looking place. I don't know, when these things load, you know. So I think there's an island in the middle of this lake, right? Oh yeah, look at that. There's a big island in the middle of the loch. That's kind of neat, you know. All right. Oh, huh. So now I'm underwater. It's not very clear that it's underwater, but you can get underwater. Should probably fix that, the way the camera works, to handle being underwater better. Mountainous dwarven buildings. Down the little road, and here's Shelly, waiting for us to summon the Zeppelin. Alright, let's go. Yeah, okay. The things they don't want you to see. This is why they don't give you a flying mount. Alright, somewhere over here, after we imagine ourselves going through the Dwarven Tunnel that no one programmed in, we should end up in this place. It's been a really long time since I was over here. This is called the Badlands, right? The Badlands. Wait, where's the Dwarven Tunnel let out in the Badlands? Honestly, I don't even know. Probably not up there. It's a little bit difficult to tell which parts of this Badlands are geometrically incomplete and which are, you know, the final version. Yeah, I wish I could just see the Dwarven Tunnel thing let out, because then I would know where to drop. Oh, plus the Zeppelin's gonna die.
I've no time for games.
Alright, Shelly, summon a Zeppelin. Oh, apparently that Zeppelin summoned a huge lag spike that we don't understand why. What is that? Okay, here's the Zeppelin. Shelly, I don't know. This is why we have insert and delete. Okay, alright. Just get over the mountain. Maybe I should just go back to the car. Oh, must target unit. Okay, unload. Unload. What are we... Wait a minute. The mouse is, like, miscalibrated. Hold on.
Full speed ahead!
Okay. Everything is a finely tuned machine. I have 50 FPS right now on my screen. Probably not in the video, though.
We elves are not easy
and then the car
prey.
fell out of the sky. Because that's how Zeppelins work. And that is how Zeppelins work. So somehow we get down here to the Badlands. Now, obviously, if I was very smart, I would know more about where the tunnel from the dwarves actually lets out, because obviously it wouldn't have been over there. But finding that might be an effort. Let's see where this goes. Okay, alright. So when in doubt, you reverse up the hill. If the hill is, like, you know, lagging, or the forward mode is too fast and it's running into stuff, and reverse up the hill, reverse up the hill, reverse up the hill. Yeah, there we go. That's what you want to do. Reverse up the hill. Okay, great. Yeah, this is what we need. Because we gotta get over here. Oh, look at that. That was a good speed boost. Wait. Is this a thing? This is a new wall jumping. You jump on the wall and you get a speed boost. Okay. Look at that. There's a little outpost over here. I always forget which one is the Searing Gorge and which one is the Burning Steps, because they're kind of similar. But maybe I'm just like that. Alright, here we go. Well, all I gotta do, I guess, is follow the road. Now this bridge is put in. You know, I thought it was interesting that most of the bridges aren't in. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have gone over. If I fall down there, can you get back up? I kind of want to, like, gun it over there, try to make the jump, fail, and then see if I can, because I have Zeppelins to save me. I know this is like a moment of entertainment or something, but, oh yeah, no, I don't remotely have the speed to get over there. Okay, well, can I go back up this thing? Oh, I can go back up this thing. Okay, cool. Oh, except for right there. And there. Okay, alright. When in doubt, reverse up the hill. It works. I don't, you know, you could sit and think about, maybe we have, like, rear wheel drive. You know, why does this work? But at the moment, it does. You know, when in doubt, reverse up the hill. There we go. Okay. Now I've completely lost sight of the road. So this is an interesting test of my understanding of World of Warcraft geometry, because how do I get to, you know, Blackrock Mountain to go through to the other side? Probably something like this. This looks like it would have been the entrance to a thing. Sure. Now, obviously, we don't have WMO files, so again, the whole rigmarole and all that would normally be there, we're not going to be able to get to that.
You dare
But
threaten me?
Are you
let's summon
threatening
a
me?
Zeppelin. Okay, thank you, universe, for disappearing. Oh, look at that. Yeah, this would be the mountain. Okay, I don't know if I'll be able to get back unless if I get this, just right click as fast as possible to the other side. Yeah, look at that. Lava, blah. Okay, burning steps. Searing Gorge. Oh, there is a road. Wait, I should have been on that road. That would have been cool. It even has a bridge. I want to go check out that bridge now. Okay, wait, we got to check out that bridge in a second. Once my Zeppelin... I don't even know if this Zeppelin's going to get me all the way there, and if it doesn't, I might be totally sunk. Come on, Zeppelin, don't fail me now. Don't fail me now, little Zeppelin. Oh. And Shelly falls out of the Zeppelin. Go, Shelly, go! Okay, great. Dude. So, I thought that was cool. I kind of wanted to check out this bridge over here. Woof. Lag spike. I don't know why. Lag spike. You know, if there's too much lag spike, you kind of just park the car for a little bit. Usually fixes it. Maybe from the mountain being too tall. I don't know. Like this thing. We have to reverse up the hill again. Yeah, if you ever played the game Big Rigs, you'll know why good design involves reversing up the hill. Definitely. Okay, so I just thought, can we drive across this bridge to just go somewhere? I guess this would normally be like, there would be like lava over here. It would be like the altar of storms, but yeah, apparently somebody didn't program in the lava the right way. I guess Warcraft 3 only has water and then red water, and it doesn't really have like true lava. So I didn't really do that, but you could definitely do that. You would just need to make the water red. Pretty sure that wouldn't be that hard. Well, this is great. You know, we're going to be in Red Ridge in no time here, unless if we have some random thing in our way. I guess I should have put in like random enemies, you know, things that actually attack me on this journey to make it more realistic. So, you know, that's how it was designed to be, is that when you try to traverse across this, you can't just get in a car. You know, somebody's going to try to kill you. You know, as I look at all these things, to be totally honest, they remind me of the kinds of stuff that was in Warcraft 3 alpha screenshots. Is that kind of interesting? It kind of looks that way. I didn't really think about this before, but there's a lot of overlap there when people are like trying to chase after Warcraft 3 alpha versus like, I don't know, you look over here, it's kind of similar, you know? Alright, well, hopefully this road is going to get me to Red Ridge. Oh, that loaded. It's not a WMO file, I guess. Alright. Yeah, WMOs suck. I could definitely program them, I just didn't do it yet. Oh, the road was a scam. It didn't take me to Red Ridge like I thought it would. I was forgetting my geography. Well, maybe it's still going. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, just follow the road, right? When in doubt, follow the road. Oh yeah, this looks good. This looks like Mordor over here. Why are these not physical objects when everything else is? That's odd. Oh, this one works. So after all that I said about not having lava, then you look here and this is... Now I think in the actual World of Warcraft, this lava is animated. I didn't load animations to textures on terrain. But hey, look at that. I got through that thing. Yeah, now I can go to Red Ridge Mountains. That's cool. Alright. This is we're gonna get there, dude. We're gonna get to Booty Bay. We're so gonna get to Booty Bay. Definitely. That's coming up next. Yeah, we gotta get to Booty Bay. Oh, lag spike. I don't know why. Those things just happen. You feed this much data in the engine, sometimes you get lag spike. This is supposed to be a bridge. This is yeah, it's supposed to be a bridge over there. I wonder if I can just go around. And I don't have to try to summon a Zeppelin and all that crap. Yeah, here we go. I did it. I went around. I can go to Elwyn. I'm a genius. Maybe. Okay, maybe I can reverse up the hill to Elwyn. Wait, what was that? What was that? I was reversing up the hill and I started going back down the hill. Why did we start going back down the hill? I don't know. Sometimes it's just silly. So I think what we learned today is that some ideas... what was that? There was a great quote on the internet a few years ago. Some ideas... sometimes great ideas are actually horrible ideas. That was a great quote. I think I heard that quote a few years ago. There was a guy who was giving a TED talk, but he didn't actually want to give a TED talk. He was just pranking them, pretending to give a TED talk. And in his TED talk, he stood up and he was like, sometimes great ideas are actually horrible ideas. I think he used, he had some example. It was really offensive. All right. Well, I seem to have just glided across the river in this case, even without a bridge. So that one's okay. All right, let's see. We'll go over here. We'll go over here. Yeah. Do you guys think we should check out Stormwind? I vote no because it won't be there. I know that it won't be there because of the way that... Oh. All right. I hit a bush. Stormwind is going to be a WMO file. You know, I mean, we have all these trees. Oh, hey, I got kicked in the air. We have all these trees. We have all these little Murloc huts. You know, I could put in Murlocs in here. We could be doing Warcraft 3 battles with the Murlocs. But what we don't have is... we don't have WMO files yet. And what that means is that you cannot go inside of Stormwind. It's the same reason as the buildings in Goldshire aren't here. This is not... Is this how Goldshire is normally formatted? I feel like they're missing a building or something. They didn't do it right. Anyway, yeah, the buildings are not loading in. So I guess I'm going to go to Westfall and then use that to get to Duskwood. If I was being really timely, I suppose there's a case to be made that I should just go straight to Duskwood, jump over the water or something, but I don't know. I thought I might try this way. See if what we can see. Oh, will I make it? Will I make it? I did not make it. Oh, but I kind of made it anyway. Okay, just gunning it. Just gunning it. Yeah. Here you go. Look at that. We got the Westfall birds. This is like my other video, a car in Westfall, except this time I can go through the entire Westfall instead of, what was it? I was like right here and I went over to that griffin and then that was the end of the map. And what I didn't tell people is that the start... Oh, lag spike. Okay. Yeah, in the other video I made where it like looked like I was driving across Westfall, the map ended right here. This was, and that was a system that was just porting one tiny segment at a time. So there's this video clip of me driving from over there to over here. But see, like that was the only place that could be driven because then the map ended and it was over and there was nowhere else to go. And for what it's worth, this this flag post had the flags in the wrong spot and all the objects were non-physical. I couldn't run into this griffin. Now obviously I should probably not be able to run the entire front of the car in the griffin, but still, I can run into the griffin. It's a physical object. It didn't used to do that. Cool. I think I might be going the wrong way now. This might be like the way to the dead mines, which would tell you that actually it would be really cool to go to the dead mines, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that. So we're gonna keep going this way. I feel like I needed some good music. It's kind of weird I don't have that, but look at this bridge, dude. This bridge to Duskwood is totally working and functional. Even the lights are twinkling. Yeah, man. This is my Warcraft. This might be the best Warcraft 3 map I ever made. Alright, here we go. This might be the best Warcraft 3 map I ever made. What do you guys suppose is at Caradaro now? What do they put in there? Like, isn't Caradaro the name of that place? Maybe I already passed it. I know for a while you could go north. So I guess I would have to go south to go to Stranglethorn. That's really where I want to go. Just trying to remember if I want to go up to maybe it's this thing. Up to like the Caradaro thing. Is this called Caradaro? Am I wrong about this? Maybe not. Oh, now the car stopped rotating entirely. Honestly, I kind of like that better. The too much rotating was getting kind of annoying. Oh, nope, we're back. Alright, yeah, I'm just curious in this alpha client, like what is up here, you know? And then I'm just going to jump off and go back to Stranglethorn. Alright, yeah, reverse up the cliff. I don't know, it works better. Oh yeah, here you go. The druidic thing. Does this actually go to a thing? It's probably a WMO file. This is probably just empty. That'd be stupid. Oh, I hit a bump in the road. Yeah, what do you suppose is up here? Oh, yeah, just nothing. Just nothing. I don't think Caradaro is the right name. What is Caradaro? Caradaro is one of those like crypts or something, right? What is it? This thing has some name. I gotta look up the name of this place now. I forgot. It's where that dragon is. You guys know what I'm talking about. What's the original name of this place? I don't know. Do you guys remember? You guys know. I bet everybody watching this video is like, duh, I know the name of this place. I don't have the names loaded. And I haven't played this game in like a pretty long time, to be honest. The only way I was able to load the art files is thanks to the people on the internet, who I should definitely credit and say thank you, people on the internet, who figured it out and published the formats so that I could put them into this Java program that is pretending to be Warcraft. Because I thought that would be entertaining. I think it is. I think we are proving right now that this is entertaining. I need to make like a music video version of this though. So wait a minute. So which one of these? So that's the path to nowhere. Yeah, it's just some creepy mushrooms or something. But if I want to go to Stranglethorn, I think I just keep going, right? I just go south on this road. I hit the post. Come on, Stranglethorn, here we come. If we leak memory, I mean, I think it's possible that every time we change zones, we leak memory, right? And somehow the game is still running, so we're doing really well. Dude, look at that. We're in Stranglethorn. We are going to get to Booty Bay, dude. We're going to do it. We're going to get to... What? Is it right or left? Booty Bay, right or left? Lag spike. We got to park for a second. Should we take a moment to just appreciate that the trees are animated? Does anybody think about that? How did I get this Warcraft simulation with animated trees? Most people who try to port World of Warcraft, they don't know what they're doing to port World of Warcraft to Warcraft 3 without animated trees or something. I read the online guides at wowdev.wiki, so I get to pretend like I know what I'm doing. How do I get over this? Okay, the bridge is out. You know, the bridge is out. All right, where? Come on, Shelly. Oh, a little bit too far north. And now it's lagging because I jumped the camera really fast, and it's actually not super great at arbitrary lookups right now. It kind of prefers a rolling, scrolling view. Yeah, lag spike. Oof, that's a really bad frame rate right there. Okay,
You dare threaten me?
Hey, Shelly, summon me a Zeppelin. We better be getting this on camera. Where is what is the Zeppelin up on top of the tree? Okay, just click on Shelly again. Drag. Haha, that's how you do it. Okay, we load Shelly and unload Shelly over here. Come on. Oh, we lost the mouse, like recalibrated again. There's some bad stuff that happens when this system lags. Well, even if this thing expires and explodes, we're definitely going the right direction over here. Gonna need a lot of Zeppelins. I was looking at the map briefly down here, and I had the impression that I needed a lot of Zeppelins for some of the... Am I inside the plant? My camera is like stuck inside this out. Whoa, 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 wow, whoa. Big lag spike, huge lag spike. Why are we lagging that badly? I think I'm literally inside of this thing. Oh yeah, I'm like stuck on it. Just reverse out of it. Like the frame rate is getting so bad. I guess it is actually lagging. Obviously this is the longest distance ever traveled, probably in Warcraft 3. This is this is probably a world record here of the longest distance traveled in a single Warcraft 3 session or something. But then you have to think about, does this count as Warcraft 3? What is this? Okay, so apparently getting up there, it's easier to just fall down here. Oh look, I can drive up the tree. Wait, that would be really good for getting places. Wait, no, am I stuck? Oh, I might be stuck. Wait, we're never stuck. You're never stuck. Just reverse out of it. What even? Okay. Yeah, here we go. I'm back to the road. Let's stick to the road. All right. Yeah, we got to jump another one of these. All right. Yeah, cool. Although, actually, it looks like I can kind of just, just jump over that one and go back up here. Maybe that's equivalent. Cool. Yeah, just jump, 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 jump. Jump. Yeah, there we go. All right. I'm going to get to Booty Bay. You guys better believe it. We're going to get to Booty Bay. We are going to do it. I got to fix the frame rate or something. Okay, I landed in the water, but I got past the water. Yeah, we got to get to Booty Bay. I feel like Stranglethorn just looks really cool. You know, it's a very cool place. Now, I am getting a little bit distracted, so I suppose that poses a risk to getting to Booty Bay. But then again, maybe this is where I wanted to be anyway. This is like ahead on the road, right? Yeah. I basically just traveled down the road a little bit. Now, I don't know why my Warcraft 3 shadow of my guy is in the sky above his head, but we're doing pretty well. There's just little technical things somebody would fix, if they really care about it. Just little technical stuff, I would say it is totally functional. Look at that. It is totally functional. Okay. So now I'm driving down the... How do I get to Gurubashi? It used to be on the right, not the left over here, right? What is this on the left? Troll land. Oh, Troll Place apparently is very bad for frame rates. Yeah. Oh, it was day and then it was night again. Why? Why was it day and night again? I'm just going to park the car for a moment in case that helps the frame rates, because we seem to be having tremendous frame rate issues and lighting problems. Something is not operating as intended. The sun came up maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Have I entered my demise? Have I triggered some kind of lag that never goes away? What did we do here? It seems bad. All the other lag spikes, if you just sit and wait, they got better. It was like bad programming, but it wasn't like forever bad programming. This one I feel unsure. Like, we've traveled so far across the map. If there's any kind of memory leak, it would be, this might be the end. This might be the end. I should not go to the Troll Place. I should go straight to Booty Bay. Because what is this? This is pretty bad lag. I don't know if I'm going to get control back. Even the Goblin Zeppelins won't save me if the game actually just stops. Alright, well, come on. Come on, game. Come on, game. What are we waiting on? Oh, now it's nighttime. Okay. Warcraft 3 doesn't take very long, but if you wait an entire day and the lag doesn't get any better, that's probably saying something. I wonder if I've picked just the right camera position to, like, stall out or something. Yeah, I don't know. We might not come back from this. I wonder what it is. I wonder what did we do here that led this to be a major issue? Is it just memory leaks from going across the whole map? Is there any chance I can get, you know, like a different camera angle and change, eliminate the lag or something? I don't know. It's doesn't really seem like it. Man, I almost got to Booty Bay, dude. I almost did it. I was so almost at Booty Bay. I need to get a graphics card. I feel like if this computer had a graphics card, this wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Somebody is going to do the same thing I'm doing right now, but they're going to do it on Windows and a computer that has a graphics card. They're probably going to get all the way to Booty Bay. I bet they. Oh, it's nighttime. So it is actually still processing to some extent. Some limited extent. Yeah, I don't know what do we hit on here though. It doesn't seem like I have interactivity with the world. And then these moments where I see multiple frames and I think maybe it's going to get better, but it's probably not. Whatever it's doing it a lot. It's going wrong. You just like hit the reverse key, then reverse. I'm using WASD, so just hit S. I don't know if that would work. Just like reverse out of it. Whatever I'm looking at, you know, like stop looking at it. Reverse out of it. It's going so well. I was going so well. I get all the way here. And I get distracted by the trolls, dude. The trolls troll me. I got trolled. Alright. Trolled at the very end. Oh, dude, I reversed out of it. Wait, maybe. Oh, I hit the up arrow and I went to the sky. Okay. Maybe it's less laggy up here. But probably not. Okay. Now I'm back. What changed? What changed? Can I Alt-Z? Go back to Warcraft 3 maybe? No? Okay, here you go. With a very small camera angle, it's just pointed downward to the car. We load less geometry. Dude, we gotta get to Booty Bay. Okay? We have to do it. We have to do it. We get back to this road. I don't know what that lag spike was. I don't even know where the road is, but I know that we're gonna find it. We gotta find the road. We gotta find the road. I need to tilt the camera back up because when the camera's tilted up, it lags less, I think. And like zoom in. Just less things visually on the screen. Help. Apparently it's not helping very much. Maybe the reverse was a magic thing that I got like away from something. I just need to reverse again. Oh, dude, it was so good for a second. What changed? Yeah, when I reverse, it's better. We just need to reverse. Camera pointed up. Wait, I spun a circle around. Did I reverse to where I don't want to be? Which way do I go? Well, now we're going this way. Whichever way this is. I have no idea. This is probably totally the wrong way to get to Booty Bay. I bet anybody watching this probably hates this. Okay, but look, is that the road? That's not the road. Wait. Where's Booty Bay? Booty Bay. Get to Booty Bay. Well, so up the hill was the trolls. So down the hill should be something good, right? Maybe? I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna like reverse off this cliff. Oh, I got stuck in the tree. Look at that good old Warcraft 3 town hall roof. Use the texture for the car. Wow, something about when it lags, the directions, the angles go wrong. I don't understand why though. Okay, do we know anything about where this is so bad? What did it do? What happened? I was going fine. We hit the limit. Whatever the limit is, we hit the limit on my computer here. Where's the road, dude? Where's the road? Where is the road? I don't even see the road. Maybe there isn't a road anymore. I got too far away from it. Buy a graphics card. Put it in my computer. This sun has become a flickering fireball. Day, night, 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 day, night. Okay, well, I see water over there. You know what has very low amounts of geometry? The ocean. So why don't I go into the ocean and see if that fixes it? So I'll just reverse. I'll just hold down reverse. It'll take us to the ocean. And then if it doesn't lag in the ocean, maybe I can use that to get to Booty Bay. I don't know, that's pretty stupid though. Brad Chan, when something is wrong, make it right and fix it. That's what we need. GitHub commits on my code from Brad Chan. He's gonna fix it. Like, what is this, dude? This is terrible. Oh, now I'm in the sky. Like, how did I get in the sky? Oh, now I teleported to the water. Okay. But it's like so bad. It's like we hit a limit. You know, like things were fine and then we hit the limit. It's really sad to hit that limit. I don't know what the limit is. I definitely wish that I did not hit the limit. I wonder if I can, I don't know, if I can navigate the computer a little bit. Try to, yeah, man, we're at the limit. We're at the limit. We're taking it to the limit, whatever the limit is. Come on. So one of the things I realized that might have contributed to this, it seems like, oh, yeah, I gotta get my mouse back. Normally you can hit Control B to use the mouse, but right now they're not letting me do that. I don't know why. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna step away from the computer for a second. I'm gonna get the charging cable for my computer, try to make sure it has energy. Okay, manipulated the charging cable. I'm trying to get, maybe reduce the load on the machine. Possibly. Probably not. Probably not succeed. I wanted to get to Booty Bay. I didn't think it would do this. Okay, how about that? So now the things are actually moving on the screen a little bit, which brings me to think that I have the mouse, and if I did, I could control B. Oh yeah, and I could get the cursor, dude. I have the cursor. Oh, okay, I shouldn't. You know, that happens and I celebrate, and it turns out to be, it's kind of a waste. I was gonna see if I could another program. Can I close other programs, get some resources back? See if that helps. Close other programs. Yeah. Plug in the electricity, close the other programs. Get the resources back, dude. That's what you gotta do when you don't have a graphics card. I'm moving, man, I'm moving again. What even? Booty Bay. Where is Booty Bay? Oh my gosh. Get to Booty Bay. Can I use this hill to help me find it? No, I can't, can I? Okay, I'm speeding southward. I think, maybe that's not south. What is this? This is probably not Booty Bay. It's like, it has a fire above it. This must be Gurubashi. Okay, sure. That's not far from Booty Bay. All right, let's get on the road and we'll go to Booty Bay, dude. I don't know, I'm not sure why I got better, but it did, and we just gotta go. We just gotta gun it to Booty Bay. Gun it to Booty Bay, dude. Gun it. And then we'll get there, dude. We're gonna get there. I'm gonna prove I did it. Why am I doing it is a good question, but we're gonna do it. Oh, okay, so here's the problem with Booty Bay. So Booty Bay, this is a summoning stone if you want to summon yourself to Booty Bay, I guess. Booty Bay doesn't have a good way for me to get through the cave. I don't want to change the UI and do the lags and get the Zeppelin. You know, we got to get to Booty Bay, dude. We're doing it. When something lags, you just wait for it. But it turned out Booty Bay was a WMO file all along. But I had that bird. You got to give me credit for that. Okay, even if I only got the bird and the car was spinning a little bit, I definitely got to the Booty Bay, dude. I'm here in Booty Bay. That tree is animated. I'm in my car. Now, can I summon? Let's summon to the car. Okay, this is the beach. Oh, actually, it would be kind of fun to go to the beach over there, but what is that, like underwater? What am I looking at? I really need those hero icons. We click the hero icon and we just go to the hero, you know? Oh, it is a water. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so that's the beach, which means this would be Booty Bay, which means here is the car.
I've no time.
Now, I gotta figure out what that vibrating, that horrible rotational vibrating is. I really don't like that. It seems like it's affecting all of the units. The fundamental notion of
Full speed ahead.
something. Height values. I guess they're getting insane height values that are wrong. Yeah, we gotta take a look at height values. Okay, so the Booty Bay model file didn't load, but that thing loaded, and there should be an island out here. Why don't we go to the island? Oh, that's not the island. This thing gonna explode. I wanna put myself over here in front of the goblin on Booty Bay or something. Prove I did. Yeah. Come on, Zeppelin. Come on, my Zeppelin. Where are you? In fact, why don't we go on top of it. Oh, okay. That was a crappy Zeppelin. It didn't even fly anywhere. Okay.
You dare threaten me?
I wonder how we got better from the lag spike. Like what? I wonder what that lag spike was and how we got better from it. Oh yeah, unload Shelly on top of the head of the goblin. That's what you want to do. Exactly that. Definitely. Definitely. I wonder. I'm probably not even video recording by now. It probably died. Maybe. I don't know. Let's hope not. Zeppelin. Okay. Oh, it unloaded Shelly down there instead of up there. Why did we do that?
Got it! Got it!
It just really wants to unload down here. Okay, good thing we can do whatever that is and end up on this side of the goblin. Wait, it's not even a goblin, it's just like a guy. I thought it was like a goblin statue. I don't know, never mind. It's just some guy. He looks like Kieran Tor or something. Alright, well I'm definitely in Booty Bay, so I think I am the victor, dude. I am the winner. The trees are animated. We are in Booty Bay. The only problem is Booty Bay itself wasn't here. So, it'll make a great screenshot actually though. A car in front of the statue. Just, the trees blowing in the wind. That is the sweet appearance of victory, dude, after almost losing. Alright, well I hope all you guys have a good night.